What do you do when you can't be sure? When no amount of study or prayer or searching can bring you to a definitive answer? I've been thinking about this concept of knowledge versus belief recently, and how to find peace in holding a belief without certainty. A week ago, I posted a video where I told you what religion I belong to, and that video was seen by a lot more people than my usual audience, which is pretty small for this channel. And the comment section was quite active. I could see from the comment section how a lot of us get really focused on wanting to prove what we believe. We want to prove that our beliefs are true. We want certainty. We want to know what's right, and we want to be in the right. And I could see this manifesting in the comments in the form of debates and accusations, and some of them got pretty nasty. I've been thinking about why it is that we get so focused sometimes on wanting to convince other people to believe what we believe. And if we can't, we're so focused on that if we can't convince them of that we want to turn it around and tell them that they're wrong, or even that they're deceived. Why is it so important to us to get other people to think and believe the same way that we do? And I was thinking that any person, well, let's say any Christian of any denomination, could come up with a belief that they hold, and they could find scripture verses that support that belief. And they could also find scripture verses that seem to conflict with it. And when something like that happens, we can do our research and try to understand the historical context of those verses, what was going on around that time, what was being discussed, what is the culture at the time, how does that affect things. We can do research into the language, the original language, the translation, how does that affect the meaning of the words that we're reading. But even with all of that study, there comes a point where the words have to be interpreted by us, and we can't speak to the original author or the person who the author was quoting, so we can't get clarification from the source, and we have to come to this point of making a judgment call on what we feel is true based on all of our understanding that we have and just the way that we feel in the end. We can pray about it, we can study, and with everything we've gathered, we have to make a choice on what to believe. So I want to take a moment here and share a definition that I found in the Encyclopedia Britannica for belief. It says, a mental attitude of acceptance or assent toward a proposition without the full knowledge required to guarantee its truth. Believing is either an intellectual judgment or a special sort of feeling with overtones that differ from disbelief. So we can study and pray for guidance, and then we choose a belief, at which point we can then step into faith. And now I want to talk a little bit about what is the difference between belief and faith. I want to read a scripture from the Book of Mormon. This is in Alma, chapter 32, verse 21. It says, and now, as I said concerning faith, faith is not to have a perfect knowledge of things. Therefore, if ye have faith, ye hope for things which are not seen, which are true. I think that faith is a belief that moves us to act. So I'm going to refer to a scripture from the New Testament in the Bible that I think speaks to this. It's in James chapter 2, verses 17, 18, and 26. Even so, faith, if it hath not works, is dead, being alone. Yea, a man may say, thou hast faith, and I have works. Show me thy faith without thy works, and I will show thee my faith by my works. For as the body without the spirit is dead, so faith without works is dead. So how can we find peace in holding a belief without certainty? I think exercising faith and trusting God is the way to peace. So as we trust God and trust in who He is, His kindness, His timing, His goodness, His mercy, His love for us, etc. As we begin to do that, the anxiety and worry and fear begin to lose their grip on us, and in their place comes peace. And I think as we come to this place of peace, or ease or comfort with what we believe, and understanding that we don't know for sure, it becomes less important to us to try to prove everyone else wrong, because we understand, to prove everyone else wrong or to convince them that we're right, because we understand that we're not sure that everything we believe is absolutely factual, truth, correct. We don't know if we're always on the right track. We're just making the best decision we can based on what we know at the time and what we understand and feel and so on. So it becomes less important to, I think, reassure ourselves that we're right by convincing other people that we're right, because we just understand that everybody is at their own place on their own path to learning and growing. And we also become more open to new knowledge and new understanding and growth. We know that we're probably going to learn more, just as we have in the past. And when we do, our beliefs may shift and change and grow along the way, just like they have in the past. And I think that's an important understanding to have, that your testimony, your set of beliefs is going to grow and change over time, and that that's okay. And that everyone else's is as well. And that's okay. We don't all have to be at the exact same point in our journeys or have the same journey. And when I was thinking about this, it reminded me of a talk or speech or, a speech that I gave in church one time. So in our church, when you go to the main meeting on Sunday, there's usually a few members of the congregation who get up and speak. And so one time I was asked to speak, and I spoke on the topic of testimony being a work in progress. And I think that applies to what I'm talking about today somewhat, especially as I've come to this sort of concluding part of what I've been talking about. So I may share some of that with you in a future video, because I don't want this one to end up too long or too much to take in or think about. I don't expect this to become a religion channel. It's just something that's been top of mind the last week or so. So if you found me in the last week, welcome. This is not solely a religion channel, though I will include that as it applies here and there. But for now, I hope to see you in the comments where we can continue today's discussion with any of your thoughts on the topic.